Educational Communications and this station present Environmental Directions with Nancy Pearlman. On this series, we explore the effects of human influence on the Earth's ecosystems and discuss solutions to environmental problems which affect the quality of life on this planet. Environmental Directions gives you the kind of information you need to help you participate in decisions impacting your community, the nation, and the world. Now, here's your host, Nancy Pearlman.
Hello. We're going to be talking about solar and solar panels with my guest, Bobby Tetsh. He is founder and CEO of Modern Pro Solutions, which was formerly Pacific Energy Network. He has worked for many years in vertically integrating businesses capable of delivering sophisticated solutions in home services, including in the area of roofing, heating, air conditioning, data, software, marketing, consulting. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on.
You are very involved in urging people to have solar in their homes, that it's ecological, economical, to the point where your company is actually listed as number 87 on the Inc. 5000 list. How does one know which solar company to use? Because I get those calls every day to do something different with my energy systems, and I don't know who is legitimate, who will provide the best solar panels.
Yeah, no, great question. I think solar nowadays is a lot more accessible than maybe it was a few years back, and I think the company that you choose to go solar with definitely matters. One of the things that we do maybe a little bit different than some of the other companies out there is we're really involved in the communities that we serve. A lot of the ways that we get out in front of our target customers is we do door-to-door campaigns where we actually just go out on the doorstep and knock on the door and talk to the homeowners about the different programs and benefits of going solar, what kind of savings it can provide, and all the benefits that you just mentioned with it being, great for the environment. Anytime you're looking at doing something for your home, you want to make sure that you're working with a reputable company and a company that's licensed, insured, bonded, and we are, obviously, and people want to work with who they know. So it's all about marketing and getting out in front of your target customers.
I can't believe that you're actually going door to door, because in my neighborhood, nobody wants to answer the door. Everybody's suspicious of anybody coming around and trying to sell something.
We have very handsome sales reps.
What kind of solar system are you providing? Because I've been advocating solar for decades, and when solar panels were first introduced, they were quite expensive, they were difficult to install. Now, not only are companies like yours offering solar panels to homeowners, but we don't have to buy them. We're leasing them from you?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go solar. 3 ways. I mean, you can purchase solar cash. You could do a consumer loan. There's specialty solar financing that for just solar loans. And then you're right, there are such things as leases and PPAs where you just pay for the production of the equipment. You're actually buying it and you don't have to maintain it. What we do is a little bit different. We don't necessarily lead in with a particular product. I mean, for us, it's really what's right for the homeowner. So we really go more of like a prescription-based process where we go into the home and we're really just doing more of a needs analysis. We're really taking the time to understand the homeowner's needs, their lifestyle, how they use electricity, what their plans are for the future with their home, if they're planning on being there long term or going to be moving in the next few years. Obviously, we'll make a professional recommendation, but we always present with 3 different options: cash option, a loan option, and then a lease option. And for us, whatever's best for the homeowners, what's best for us.
I'm still curious, though, about how much electricity you're providing and how that solar panel works. For example, my house was built in the 1930s, and in those days, they literally only had 1 electrical outlet per room. Nowadays, we've got the computers, we've got TVs, we've got many different kinds of electrical appliances outside of refrigerators, and we seem to have to put in these power surge units all over to get our electricity system larger than it was back then. So do we have to change out the whole electrical box to be able to handle power from solar?
It really depends on the situation. So, I mean, you're absolutely correct. A lot of times we run into homes where there's some electrical work that's needed. One of the great things about Modern Pro Solutions is we have licensed electricians that work in-house. So we have some really great processes and technology that allow us to be able to identify when there's electrical work needed before the work even gets started. And then we're able to provide those options for homeowners as well.
Let's go back to my question, though, about the early solar panels being introduced in the 1970s and 80s. And how do they differ from the ones now? What kind of improvements have been made?
Yeah, also another great question. We get that a lot where, hey, what if technology gets better with panels? Or the reality is the technology hasn't necessarily changed very much over the last 30 or so years. What has changed, though, is the efficiency, right? So what would be common 10 years ago, we were selling 270-watt panels back then, right? And now we're selling 400-watt panels. The size maybe changes a little bit as far as like cell count, but really just the efficiency has gotten better over the years. There has been some technological improvements with some components of a solar system, but as far as the panels go, technology is pretty much the same. It's just gotten a lot more efficient.
We don't have to worry about putting them only on a south-facing roof anymore?
No, you definitely need to do that. I mean, the most optimal position is going to be south and then go west from there. And then there's also options to be able to put it on other directions, but a lot of times you have to tilt the system to where added equipment to be able to get the maximum production. So what we do ahead of time is we design a system where it's going to have the maximum production, and then obviously have a conversation with the homeowner, make sure that it's going to be aesthetically pleasing to them as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We want to make sure that we put it in the right direction to get them the maximum production.
If you're putting it on my old roof, how do I make sure you're not going to create some leaks? I certainly don't want water coming down into the house.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The great thing with us is everything's warranted for 25 years. We're based out of California, so it never rains, so we don't have much issues there. But we do a really good job making sure that we do the work the right way. We have superintendents that are out in the field making sure that they're auditing all the projects and making sure that we're doing the best work possible. But it is construction. I mean, every now and then there may be an issue. If that happens, we come out and we fix it. I'd say a few times a year we might have an issue like that.
There was a time when the electrical companies were actually going to charge people who were creating their own energy. Has that changed? Can we sell the energy back to the electrical companies if we get too much?
That really depends on your market and your utility company. So there are parts of the country where you can do that, and there's parts of the country where you cannot do that. So anybody that would be interested in getting that answer, I would definitely make sure they reach out to the utility company first and figure out what kind of program they're running in their territory.
Let's talk a little bit about cost, because you maintain that if homeowners are paying $70 or more for their electricity bill each month, there are programs available that could permanently lower their electric bill up to 75% with no upfront costs. But we know that some states have tax credits. California doesn't, but all residents are eligible for the current federal solar tax credit. So how much would it cost to put solar on an ordinary residential home in Southern California, and what kind of savings would they be making?
The savings is kind of dependent on the program and then each individual homeowner's specific utility situation. But on a monthly payment savings, typically 15 to 20%. The 75% number, that's pretty aggressive, but I think you could probably get there if you looked at it from an investment standpoint, where like if you lined up what you're going to spend on a utility company over the next 20 or 25 years, including, inflation and rate increases versus what you would pay on your solar system, then I think you could probably get close to about a 50 to 75% return on your investment for sure. As far as an average cost, again, it varies depending on market, but in California, we're seeing roughly around a $33,000 cost for a solar system. That's about a 7,000 kilowatt system. When you line that up to what somebody would pay for utilities over a 25-year period, you'd probably pay close to $150,000, almost $200,000 for that size system. When you line that up versus what you'd be paying for a solar system, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer.
In 2016, Fannie Mae released a program called the Home Style Energy Program that enables more Americans to invest in energy efficiency, which includes solar. Has that been successful? How many people are actually making the change to solar?
I think the market has grown year over year. In certain markets, pretty significantly, like the market we're in, Southern California. It's been adopted here a lot more than maybe some other parts in the country. I think a lot of that has to do with the raised utility rates. I mean, some parts of the country, utilities are really cheap. It's maybe not as much of a financial burden on them, but there's absolutely been a lot of federal and state programs, rebates, credits that have really, really helped our industry since the industry started. But going back to what you were saying with the Inflation Act that was just passed, that definitely secured the solar tax credit at 30% for the next 10 years, and we're really happy to see that happen.
What's involved in learning to install solar? Do you train the people? How many months does it take? Or are community colleges and vocational training programs out there training solar installers? How many jobs are there in the field? The
solar industry, as far as jobs are concerned, have grown year over year since the beginning. That's really great to see. And as far as education goes, to become a solar installer, there's a lot of vocational schools that offer solar installation programs. You can even get a specialty solar installation license just to become a solar installer. As far as our company's concerned, in order to do installations for us, you definitely have to be certified. We offer weekly trainings. We make sure that we only put the best of the best on a rooftop.
Your company says that you can hire more people. With so much unemployment out there, why do you even have a need for more employees?
Our company's growing like crazy. We're always hiring, and business is only as good as the people involved, so we're always looking for great people to add to the team. We always want to make sure we have the right people. It's a necessity for us because we're continuing to grow month over month. So if anybody's out there looking for a great career, please give us a call.
There was a time where people were reluctant to install solar because they said they couldn't count on having the energy day and night. Has the battery storage situation changed so that that's no longer a problem, that when the sun's shining, there's solar power being stored and they can use it at night? What is the current situation?
We'll touch on batteries for a second. So batteries have definitely become more popular over the last few years. Obviously, we're here in California. There's a lot of brownouts out of here, so batteries will definitely be something that can assist with that. If you're in a market that has net metering, essentially the way that works is your solar panels will produce electricity. Whatever isn't used gets sent back to the grid, and then the grid sends it back at night or days where maybe there's less production. That's not the same in all markets. Some markets don't have net metering, so then, batteries and backup generators are going to be something that's going to be more of a necessity in those areas. But yeah, we're definitely seeing that the industry is going in that direction.
The solar industry has grown tremendously. You are one company of hundreds of thousands. Each company focuses on different areas. How do you work together? How are you different?
There's a lot of companies that practice business the same ways we do. I think what makes us different is the people and the processes that we have in place. At the end of the day, business is just people connecting with people. And we created a program where we just focus on the art of communication. And I think from our frontline employees that are out there in the field every day, just making sure that the first initial impression of our company is an A-plus impression. And then in addition to that, we really focus on making sure that we're doing what's right for the consumer.
I'm always curious about why people name their company the way they do. You were formerly Pacific Energy Network, now Modern Pro Solutions.
When we started Pacific Energy Network, we were only in the California market, and we were really only specializing in solar sales. As the company became more sophisticated and we grew into other markets, it made sense for us to choose a name that wasn't specific to a certain territory and wasn't so energy focused.
You are involved in many other businesses such as roofing, heating, air conditioning, consulting, marketing, data, software. How do you decide how much to focus on solar?
Solar is the lifeblood of our business, so everything else that we do is to complement solar.
And if people want to know more about solar, you have also contributed an editorial on solar energy to Grit Daily. People can read about what you believe there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we try to get good content out to educate consumers or potential consumers on why it's a great decision to go solar.
It's so easy just to flip our switch and hook into the grid. Why make a change to solar?
I think solar is a tremendous value. When you think about how you pay for utilities, if you really break it down, for us, we go into homes and we educate people just simply on the truth, right? When you buy a house, you don't get a choice on who you buy electricity from, essentially a monopoly. Solar just is a way to provide someone an option to be able to produce electricity a different way. And at the end of the day, especially with all these regulations that are happening on the utility companies, in a lot of markets, you're actually buying solar power from the utility company. You're just paying a premium for it. So it really just gives them an opportunity to essentially put a mini power plant on their roof and generate their own electricity. So it just gives people options to be able to save money and do what's right for the environment.
Why is solar the ecological way to provide energy?
It reduces the carbon footprint. I think for every solar system, it's equivalent to taking 4 cars off the road.
I want to thank you so very much for making solar available to us. Thank you so very much for being my guest.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
I have been speaking with Bobby Tetsh. He is the founder and CEO of Modern Pro Solutions. I'm Nancy Perlman. Thank you very much for joining us, and do tune in again next week.
If you would like free information about these environmental issues, go to www.ecoprojects.org or call 310-559-9160. Environmental Directions with your host, Nancy Perlman, is a community affairs program of the nonprofit organization Educational Communications and this station.